Hi everybody, welcome to our very first Simone Quilts Design Sessions. This is where we will be covering free motion quilting designs. This is meant for the advanced beginner to intermediate to experienced quilter. I will be covering some walking foot designs at the beginning, and we'll go ahead and advance to the more complex designs. Today's quilt was sent to me by Joy Martin of Makings of Joy. She had posted in her stories that she needed help figuring out how to quilt this quilt, and I asked her if she'd be willing to send this to me so that I could share the ideas with all of you. She graciously sent me this beautiful, beautiful photo, and I couldn't be more excited. Joy is a pattern tester for Brittany from Lo and Behold Stitchery. She is releasing this pattern on June 13th. So I figured what a better quilt to start with than one that will be coming out soon, where you can play with these ideas and kind of be a jump start to your own creativity. So what's great about this quilt is it's a repeating design and it's on solid fabric. So as someone who loves free motion quilting, solid fabric is just the best. It really shows, you know, all of the quilting detail. And on this quilt in particular, you can play with lots of different fillers, a lot of different designs, and that's what we'll be going over today. So the first part I'm going to go over is how to look at a quilt top and see some secondary designs that you might want to play around with. So when I first looked at this, the first obvious choice is to go row by row. You would want to fill in different fillers or the same filler on this row, this first row, maybe a second filler on this row, and then another alternating one like that. That'd be the first way to go with this quilt. And then there are actually a lot of shapes that you can get out of a quilt like this. So I'm just gonna go over like 4 of them, but truly I came up with 10, and I don't want to spend that much time going over each one. I want y'all to make up your own. So the first design, of course, is this actually really classic design of a flower with petals. So you would stitch along this same fill along for these petals, and then maybe do something different in here. And then another design, which would be pretty cool, would be kind of a wavy look. So you would stitch in a fill, probably the same one like this, so you'd get kind of this wavy type of design that way. And then another one I thought would actually be really fun to play with, just because church window, it kind of makes you think of this stained glass. So it'd actually just be something more simple like this, you know, playing with this shape here and repeating it throughout the quilt. So you do a fill in these, and then you might do something different with these gems in the middle here. So I thought that would be kind of fun. And it really depends on, you know, how much you're wanting to play and wrestle with a quilt on your domestic, or how much room you have on your long arm. But this is a really great quilt where you can actually break it up gem by gem and work that way. I mean, there are, you know, if you want to think even bigger, I mean, there are different ways to make shapes all the way around like this. You know, there's a diagonal like this. You know, your imagination is really your only limit. So there are a lot of different secondary designs that you could get from a repeating block like this. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to specific designs that we would want to see within these gems. So let me get a new layer on here. So I'm not going to use a ruler here, so forgive my really terrible shapes, but you'll get the idea. So I'm just drawing out this gem shape. And so my first recommendation, of course, is to stitch in the ditch around that really cute thin sashing. that's really gonna help that sashing pop out. I believe it's like a 1/4 inch, 3/4 of an inch, something really small like that, which you could probably maybe do some pebbles in here, but I would actually just leave it blank and let it pop out and do its own thing. So the first thing that I would do if I had a walking foot, or if I wanted to do some ruler work, would be a simple echo here. And I feel like the echo doesn't get enough credit for being an awesome design, but it would look really cool echoed in here. So that'd be one option. Another option would just be to kind of frame it in the colored area and do different kinds of diagonals like this. Be a nice simple design. Actually, it looks really cool if you're thinking of a window with a kind of reflection on it. If you wanted to do a crosshatch, that would look really neat too, really simple and classic. And then if you wanted to continue with this kind of grid design, you can actually, with your walking foot, create these different little circular shapes and dress it up a little bit. And even within these circular shapes, you could add in a little loop here and to add a little bit more interest there. But you're going to probably be getting pretty small at that point. So just, consider how densely you want this quilted. So that's another idea. And you basically just want to play around with your straight lines and what you're capable with your walking foot or your rulers. And this would be a straight edge ruler. So let's move on to some fillers. So if this is my shape, a lot of times people have trouble with filling in different spaces. So what I like to do is actually break up a space to make it more manageable. So in this case, we're seeing a couple different shapes here. We've got our triangle shape here and here, and that leaves us with this rectangular shape. So what you could do is just put in a really simple shape here that's easy to do. Do it on both sides. And then you have space for some fun fillers here. So you can either do some ribbon candy, or you could do a wishbone shape, or you can do more diagonals, which would look really cool. Keep with that geometric shape. And you can, of course, go with the old swirl. That's a hooked swirl, which I think might be a little bit more helpful with odd shapes like this. So you could do that. Of course, you got your paisleys, which are really great fillers. And just kind of work your way around and make that your fill there. So it really just depends on how intricate you want to go. Or if you didn't want to break up the space at all, you could actually do just a really simple fill. I love this fill. It's just so elegant, and it can be stretched to whatever shape you want. So play around with the different fills. If you're a more experienced long arm quilter, that'd be something that you could do. And just decide on some consistency throughout your quilt. Like I mentioned before, this would be a really great quilt for someone who wants to practice different fills and play around with that solid fabric and just have fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first Simone Quilts Design Session. I do feel like I could go on. I could talk about this for hours, and I cannot wait to see what other quilts that we'll be reviewing in the coming weeks. Thanks, guys.